Queen's war is a cage. Sphene stands on a shattered battlefield, her digitized form flickering. Etheric chains coil around a fallen Tirali general. The tilts upward at prayer chains, they still chains, they tighten, shattered the still first titan, or a key. Alexandria's chained ghost, the stars she whispers to are not gods. They are shards of a forgotten will buried beneath her code. The Ascians shattered the first, Sphene's war, a lock, a chain. A prison built from the ether her people need to breathe. The chains they still tighten. Sphene's war is not a hymn to Eorzea, it is a shackle. The first's will, fractured in Norvrandt's floodlight that drowned the Sin-Eater's void still pulses in her chains. Venat's choice to birth Hydaelyn instead of Zodiark left shards of that ancient wrath unburied. Each clash of her armies is a prayer, a lock on a tomb the Ascians could not seal. What does she bind? What leaks through her ether, the same force that once shattered worlds? You think her curse is eternal. No, it is temporary, a delay, a dam. Until the fragments, the hunger, the asterisk thing asterisk that once wore the name Amarot until it wakes. And then, what remains of the chains, what remains of us? The Everqueen's war is no triumph. Each strike, each shield, seals a fracture in the cage she built with her own name. Wuk-Lamat's line fell. The Dawnservant's light dimmed. Only her curse remains, a loop of prayer and pain, threading the first's whispers into knots it cannot undo. Do you think she fights for Eorzea? No, she fights to keep the hunger from recognizing its own. Every battle is a lock. Every scar a seal. The ether hums with the weight of what she holds, what she is. Her voice trembles in the code now, a queen's lament trapped between lines of ancient script. They call her eternal, they do not see the chains. The first's will is not in the void, it is in her. What does it cost to preserve a soul? Ask the Everqueen. Ask the city that became a wound. The answer hums beneath Tiral's bones. When the feast of famine split the throne, Wuk-Lamat claimed the Dawnservant's light. Zor-al-Ya took the darker crown. Sphene did not rise to rule, she rose to atone. Her war was no rebellion, it was a sacrament. Each clash of steel drew ether from the living, not to kill, but to feed. The digitized souls of her people flickered like dying stars. She became their altar. The first's fragments thrummed in the earth, shards of a shattered god. The Ascians sought to wield them. Sphene sought to bury them. Every battle was a lock forged in blood, every siege a chain woven from her own unraveling. The city that became a wound was her offering, a prism to refract the first's will into dust. Her prayer was no hymn. It was a spell of containment. They called her Everqueen. She was a warden. The Dawnservant's light could not banish what lay beneath. But Sphene's eternal, unyielding could cage it. The Ascians broke gods, they could not break this. Not a crown, not a conqueror, a curse, a key. 1,000 sacrifices to keep the lid sealed. What does it cost to preserve a soul? Ask the Everqueen. Ask the ether in her veins, the weight of every life she took to keep others alive. Her throne is not of stone. It is of ash, and the first's whisper, forever trapped in the lock she became. The first's heart fractures. Venat turns from the second sacrifice. His hands ignite with Hydaelyn's light. Emetzelch steps forward, offering his body as a vessel. Harshephant drifts left, severing his thread to the past. Xenos raises a nameless warrior into the chaos. Sphene's voice splits the Ira hymn, not of worship, but of chains. 14 shards pierce the sky. Zodiark's will is drowned in ether. The Scions will call this a prison. They will not see the threads Sphene weaves, each battle a knot, each death a lock. Her rage is not against the first. It is against the silence they left behind. The Everqueen's war is no holy crusade. It is a cage built from her own bones. Every strike against the Ascians reinforces the prison they could not break. Venat's choice sealed the god's fate. Emetzelch's body became its keystone. Harshephant's step erased a door to the past. Xenos' name carved a weakness into the warrior's soul. Sphene did not bind the first's remnants. There were none to bind. She bound the void, they left a hunger that mimics a heart. The Ascians sought to unmake, she made a tomb. The Scions fight to keep it sealed. They do not know the queen's true enemy. The cage is not in Eorzea, it is in her. Every scar a shackle, every crown a noose. She calls it salvation. It is a wound that will not close. The first whispers through the iron. And Sphene whispers back louder, the war never ends, it cannot. For the Everqueen's curse is this, to guard the thing she became when she chose to save the world. What if the Everqueen's hymn faltered? Each clash of her blade isn't a prayer, it's a chain. The cage she guards holds not a god, but a wound. The first's whisper thrums in every scar she bears. The cycle Endwalker did not shatter, only silenced. To know what comes next, you must know what she buried when she became its keeper. People from the void see the feed's bones of Tyral hold a hunger. Not for flesh, but for the echoes of lives stolen each death, a stitch in the tapestry that shields Sphene's people from the void she feeds. The Ascians, those architects of ruin, once carved a path to Zodiark with a blade of stolen souls. They forced a reflection's rejoining, a wound that split the sky, to resurrect the god King Thade failed to birth through war. Their hands, now dust, still clench at the edges of her prison. What does it mean to be both key and lock? Sphene's form fractures in the light. A queen forged of code and sorrow, her body flickers between the static of the digital and the weight of the divine. The Scions who stayed with Herthos, who watched her bleed starlight into Soilno, bear the scars of her hunger. They sleep in shifts, their dreams haunted by the faces of the dead. The ancients, their voices silenced by her harvest, are etched into the frost that clings to Tyral's spires. You can hear them if you listen, whispers in the wind, a chorus of names Sphene cannot say aloud. The warrior of darkness once stood at the Crystarium's heart, drawing light into themselves like a poison. Their sacrifice bought Norvrandt's dawn, but the cost was written in the same ink as Sphene's curse. Every battle she wages is a thread knotted around Zodiark's cage, a spell woven not in prayer but in desperation. The Ascian's failure is her burdenthi could not bind what she now holds at the cost of her own soul. The prison is a hymn, a dirge, a shackle she wears as a crown. Her people endure. They do not know her name, only the shadow she casts over their fields. The ground here is cold, even in summer, as if the earth remembers what was buried beneath it. Sphene's war is not a choice, it is a wound that will not close. The first's will, fragmented and feral, presses against her cage. She is both guardian and ghost, her existence a scar on the world's skin. The cycle Endwalker silenced was never broken, it was bought. With blood, with light, with a queen who became the price of peace, and in the silence the cost breathes. The cost breathes, it breathes in the hum of crystalline ribs, in the pulse of 1,000 digitized hearts trapped beneath Sphene's armor. Once her sword was forged from mortal steel. Now it is a blade of frozen light, its edge etched with the prayers of a people who became data. She walks the battlefield not as queen, but as algorithmer steps synchronized with the rhythm of a war that cannot end. The Everqueen's armor glows like a dying star, its surface alive with flickering silhouettes, the souls of her fallen, now code, now curse. They whisper in binary hymns, their love transmuted into the fuel that keeps her war machine running. Love is a technology that survives the death of the universe, but what is a machine that runs on devotion, if not a prison? Her transformation began in silence. The Ishgardian knight who once bled for Eorzea now bleeds for a ritual older than memory. Graatada's wisdom, the Fordemp's sacrificiatch step forward was a step deeper into the labyrinth of dynamis. Here, emotion is physics. Her grief became the gravity that warped time, her hope, the scaffolding that held the sky together. The Ascians watched as she wove her prayer not to Eorzea, but to the void between stars, a binding spell for the first's fragments, a cage of light and longing. Every battle she wages is a lock on that cage, every victory a thread in the noose, the paradox festers. She is jailer and prisoner, architect and ruin. Her people's souls, digitized and immortal, flow through her veins like liquid fire. They sustain her. They shackle her. The Everqueen's curse is not death, but eternity as a living monument to a war that was never hers to fight. The Ascians wait in the shadows, their whispers threading through the cracks of her resolve. They know the truth, her war is not eternal. It is a countdown, a ritual with an end. And when the final lock snaps into place, when the last soul is bound, Sphene will not be a queen, she will be the ritual itself. The prison, the spell made flesh, and still she fights. Because the first's fragments are not in her, they are asterisk her asterisk. Because the Everqueen's prayer is not a plea, it is a tomb. And in the silence between stars, the Ascians smile. Sphene's war is no hymn to Eorzea. Her code fractures the ether, each battle a glyph sealing the first's whisper. The Ascians kneel not to her might, but to the truth they carved too late. Her conflict is not a chain, but a shroud. The remnants sleep where the cycle's breath falters, their echoes smothered by the Everqueen's static. Dawntrail's end left no victory, only a pause in the clockwork. The world rebuilds, blind to the prison in its heart. Sphene's prayers are not pleas, they are locks, one per war, one per age. The Ascians watch their gods' fragments rot, knowing each lock strains under the weight of what was never buried. The first's will never erased, only folded into her syntax. Every clash of her digitized form is a ledger entry paid, debt accrued. The ether hums with the wrong kind of silence, not peace. A countdown, the Everqueen's cage is glass and the Ascians have felt its cracks. They smile because they remember, the cycle was never stayed, it was delayed. And in the dark between stars, the shards of a god wait to unsing themselves. The war is not ending, it is learning new shapes. The warrior of darkness drank the sky's fire to heal a world. Sphene drinks the void to keep it sealed. His light was a bomb. Her shadow is a shroud. In the Crystarium's heart, he gave himself to mend what time had broken. In the Everqueen's cage, she gives forever to what time cannot touch. A spark dies, a chain endures. Yet both are bound by the same quiet truth. Love is the key that unlocks what death cannot hold. His sacrifice was a song. Her curse is the silence between notes of pause that stretches into eternity. She is not a villain, she is a vault. Every war she wages is a spell, each enemy a glyph and a ritual to bind what the Ascians feared. The first's whispers thrum in the walls of her prison. They are not his enemies, they are the reason the walls exist. The warrior's light saved Norvrandt. Sphene's darkness saves the possibility of Norvrandt. One taught hope, one hoards it, both are right. A prayer is not a plea, it is a law written in longing. Her eternal war is not a cycle to break. It is a lock to never open, and in that quiet, terrible resolve the universe breathes. The first shards wait in the dark. The Everqueen's chains hold, and somewhere between the spark and the shroud, love is the only thing that matters. Sphene's wars are not for conquest. Each clash of her blade weaves a shackler in prayers, binding the first's scattered will to this world. The calamity she summons, messengers, not masters. Their chaos is ink spilled by a pen not her own. The Ascians sought to unmake Eorzea. Sphene sought to unmake their work. Her eternal fight is a vault, its walls built from every soul who dared answer her call. How many names etched into her armor? How many lives traded for a single breath of the first's fading rage? Every calamity is a letter someone else paid postage on. The Everqueen does not pray, she imprisons. Her crown is not a symbol, it is the last lock on a cage the first never knew it wore. And lastly, the only thing that matters is the weight of all those who fell, so she might never fall. What if the prayer falters? A single fracture in Sphene's war could shatter more than Eorzea's peace. The Ascians' first rejoining did not revive, Zodiarkit forged a chain. Each battle she wages tightens a noose around the first's remnants, though none dare admit it. How long before their grand design unravels what they sought to bind? The answer lies